Look, there's a lot of ways that you can generate leads. Inside of the program right now, I teach 3 different ways. I teach link posting on LinkedIn, I teach outbound sales, and I teach some advertising. What I'm gonna lay on top of you guys today is what you see me doing, right? All of you are probably here because of some advertising, some video content, some LinkedIn posting, wherever it is that you first found us. I'm gonna teach you that same system. I've been talking to our inner circle coaching community about this for the past couple of months, that I've always struggled to teach lead generation here because I've made excuses for you. And that's not fair to you, right? The excuses that I made for you is that I've been doing this for a while, I have an audience, I'm good at video, I have a media buying team that helps out. I'm not gonna make those excuses for you anymore, because the fact of the matter is that there's a million ways to do it, but there's a way that you can build long-term equity in your business, that you can build sustainability in your business, that you can build predictability into your business, and you can build better lead quality in your business. So we're gonna talk about what that is, but let's just kind of go through what the state of, first and foremost, as we all know, the market's saturated, right? I said this earlier, you can shake a tree outside and you're gonna get 15 agencies falling out right now. You're under constant pressure of pricing, right? There's always somebody who's undercutting your pricing. There's always somebody who can do it cheaper, and probably the same thing that you're doing. That's an issue with the offer. It's an issue with your positioning, but it's also an issue with your marketing. Because when you do cold outbound, for example, you add extra steps to your sales cycle, right? You have to tell them who you are, what you do, why you're important, and they hold all the leverage in the relationship. We're gonna break that down for why that doesn't work. But the market's mature, is pretty much everyone here is selling SEO or does SEO in some facet, maybe a small fraction do Facebook ads. It's mature, man. Like, it's not a silver bullet anymore. It doesn't work for every business anymore. Pretty much every business owner that has a website knows about SEO, right? So it's not this new shiny object anymore. There's really no shiny objects out there. TikTok for a while was maybe kind of a hot thing, but it's very mature. And when that happens, it gets harder to convince people to resell people. They've probably been burned by an agency before, right? We've probably underserviced some clients, maybe to no fault of our own. But when you combine these two things, it makes it very difficult to attract, find, go out and cold call on people, get referrals from people. It just adds steps to the process. Not everyone's in market for services, right? That's another thing. When we think about a funnel here, right? When I do this exercise with my legal clients, I talked about it a little bit earlier, it's very different. The legal acquisition funnel is very simple. There are a lot of people at the bottom of the funnel searching for legal services that have a high propensity to convert, not just to a lead, but to convert into a client. When we compare and contrast that to agency services, yes, there's people searching Google for SEO agency near me, but those people are mostly tire kickers. It's actually kind of a weird phenomenon, right? That if you rank, I've ranked for Miami SEO agency for the past 12 years and we've never had a client in Miami. So go figure, because if you deconstruct what that search is, it's actually somebody beginning their search, not somebody ending it, right? It's somebody who's just beginning it. They're opening up. They probably don't even know what they want out of a scope of work. They're just like, I have a website, I need SEO, I'm talking to a bunch of agencies, what can you do for me? It's not the conversation that you want to have. So the people that are actually in market for our services, we often confuse this with our clients when we are working with an HVAC company or, again, a law firm. We kind of put one and one together and think it's the same. The agency search process is very, very different than other industries that you're likely working with. On top of the fact that a lot of the people probably can't afford your services. So basically what we have here, the state of the agency lead generation, is a very, very small pool of people that are in market, that are seeking services, that are open to proposals, and can afford to pay your services, and are also not completely jaded by the amount of crap agencies out there that have just taken their money and walked away with it over the years. So trying to capture these people with outbound sales or other tactics is really hard, because it has a very low success rate to going from lead to client. This is something that I'm going to be talking a lot more about in the blueprint as we continue to progress through modules in the future, which is sales. I've churned through 4 salespeople in the last year, and I was always looking at them being like, you have a low close rate, only I can do it, blah, 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 whatever. But the fact of the matter was, it was an issue with the lead. The agencies are just such a unique industry in so many different ways, in that We personally, I don't want to be spending time sending out proposals that I don't think have a high likelihood of closing, right? I don't want to be chasing down leads. I have engaged cold outbound people. We're currently working with an agency, JJ. I actually brought him in and interviewed him. He's been going through our list of people that have gotten proposals from us. I'm not talking about like give us an email. I'm not talking about people that have booked a sales call. I'm talking about people that we've sent a proposal to after they've requested it. There's 150 of those people over the last 2 years. You know how many people we closed from calling them again and trying to re-engage them? Zero. Not a single one. It's a very, 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 and JJ is amazing. If you've ever worked with JJ, he's probably one of the smoothest salespeople. We actually did a couple calls on the phone with me because he was like, dude, I don't know what's going on. Like I'm getting in touch with these people. We're getting connects and everything. He's like, but I'm having trouble bringing them back in. And it's an issue with the lead quality. It's an issue with timing. It's an issue with people that are in market. Maybe they're working with an agency. There's a whole bunch of different factors that are in play here, right? So the point is that despite the fact that we think that everyone with a website might need SEO or might need marketing services, the market's actually much smaller for your service than you think. This is also a point of emphasis for yourself that don't kick yourself if you don't feel like you're generating enough leads, if you don't feel like you're doing enough. It's not necessarily you, it's just kind of the state of everything. When we factor all these things into play, the massive amounts of competition, the jaded market, the lack of SEO being a silver bullet for businesses anymore, all these factors are working against you. So it's gotten harder to generate leads, it's getting harder to close deals. So we really want to hyper-focus in on the best thing. And the best way to do that is to position yourself as an authority. Do some work, some marketing. The amount of people that come into this program, done multiple surveys here. Over the past 8 years, we've probably worked with over 6,000 agencies, right? Give or take, through trainings, through coaching, through all the different programs that we've had. And we've surveyed them all. And we have a 50,000 person email list. Number one by far is lead generation. Raise your hands here. How many people struggle to generate leads for their business? They want to generate more leads. It's about right. About 80% of agencies usually will admit that. And I am too. I want more leads too, right? And I get enough leads, but I still want more. And like I said, I've struggled to put that into this program because I can only teach and coach what I do. I don't do outbound. That's why our outbound module sucks. People have gone through it before and they're like, they're asking me questions about it. And I'm like, you know what? I want to get rid of that module because I can't. Does anybody like getting random phone calls in the middle of the day when they're working? Nobody does. Cold email can work, don't get me wrong, but the amount of contacts that you have to burn through, the amount of emails that you have to send, you got to spin through servers, you got to come up with offers, you got to put all sorts of guarantees on it. And then if you do book a call, guess what? Then they show up and they're like, who that for you? And like, how did you get on my calendar? You need to pitch me. Like, tell me why you're on my calendar. It's a whole different energy, right? The best way to market yourself, the best way to generate leads, the best way to grow your business is to be seen as an authority. I talked about this before, right? Like, that is it. Everything that you've seen me doing, the reason why everyone is sitting here in this seat is because of this exact process, this exact framework. It works here at the Blueprint, it works at our agency, it works in my consulting, it works for every business that I've ever worked on in the B2B space, but especially agencies. Also, all those things factored in, this is what I want to try and teach you guys before we end up here, is how you can position yourself as an authority within your space. So just kind of piggybacking off what I said here, right? We oftentimes confuse marketing, right? And we're all marketers here. We all sell marketing services to clients, but we often put lead generation on the back of marketing. And that's why it fails. That's why we stop doing it. That's why we don't spend enough money. That's why we quit too soon. That's why we blame algorithm. That's why we do all these things, because the role of marketing is not to generate leads. The role of marketing is to generate interest, right? The role of sales is actually to generate leads. The role of sales is to capture that demand. The role of marketing is to build that demand. So when you reframe the goal of what we're trying to do here, it's to build interest, it's to build awareness, it's to build reach. And again, it's to get people, it's to get your messaging in front of people. Because again, when you think about how bombarded these prospects are, when you think about how jaded that these prospects are, the only way to break through that is if they see you as a true expert in the field. And to do that, we need to get in front of them multiple times with value-adding content. I don't want to go all Gary Vee on you here, but it's going to be a part of this process. So often we convince these things, and another thing that I see is we just quit too soon, right? Like, I make these recommendations for people and they stop doing it. So great marketing takes time. It takes work. It takes repetition. It takes patience. It takes testing. It's not something that's going to happen in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. Like, I'm going to push you guys to do this for 12 months. If you do this, what I teach you here for 12 months, you're going to wake up in a year in a completely different position. I know it's hard. I know it's a lot of work, but damn it, running this business is hard. It's getting harder. It's getting more competitive. The demand for what you do is waning. And I know that's tough to hear, but it's a fact, right? The demand for what we do is no longer what it once was. So people aren't coming to us in droves. We have to work a little bit harder to do that. And if you can do this too, This is how you build a moat around your business. This is how you protect your business. This is how you make sure that no matter what happens, people know who you are, and people are coming to do something. And we couple this with the positioning stuff. This is why I'll talk about the next slide, but like I'm actually hoping Google gets blown up. I don't know what's going to happen with this new presidency in terms of Google being called a monopoly, but like Google's, I don't know if you know, this is on the verge of potentially being broken up, and I'm hoping that happens. And I'll talk about more why in a second, but it bears fruit, right? So leads come to you, and this gives you leverage. So like going back to outbound, right? When you have to chase people down, you're adding additional steps to your sales cycle. You're having to add in who you are. You're having to put a whole presentation deck. You're trying to have a conversation with someone just to get them excited and pitch them on the value of SEO or whatever it is that you do. The conversion rate is extremely low, and that burns you out. It burns out your sales team. You end up pointing the blame at them, just like I did, for saying you have a low close rate, you're not doing your job, I have to do this myself. But then I realized when I fully went all in on marketing, and I've been marketing the Blueprint for years, but this is more about the agency. When I fully went all in the legal space, and when I fully went all in on marketing, my specific YouTube channel, my specific podcast, our specific website, our social profiles, the momentum, the conversations, the quality is night and day. Also allowed me, and this is what I'm gonna talk about in future boot camps, to do all the sales myself. I have a sales admin who helps me out. She does proposals, she does the analysis. I take 2 30-minute Zoom calls and I'm closing $15,000 a month deals. And that's all it takes. Why? Because they're coming to us. They've seen 4 of my videos. They've seen our ads. If you can get somebody to sit down and watch a 15-minute video, it's the timeshare model. That's why timeshares still get sold today. You know you're getting what 2 hours, you're going to Vail for a weekend, but you got to sit through a 2-hour presentation. You know you're getting sold something, and you still walk out of there with a timeshare. One of the worst investments known to the American people, and you're still walking out with one. And that's because if you can hold somebody's attention for that amount of time and get somebody to watch the right type of content, the propensity of them, the likelihood of them becoming a lead, and not just a lead, but a warmed up lead, a good lead, is very, very high and very, very likely. And that's much better than having to chase people down, right? So they come in warmed up, they're easier to close. And this is really important too, sales cycles are shorter, right? So like I just said, when you're building sales teams, and we've done that here at the Blueprint before, it takes time, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But when you're doing marketing the right way and leads are coming to you and they're warmed up, it's not that you're having one call closes, but you're going from analysis to proposal within a week, right? And you're able to shorten that decision period time, and you don't have to beg people to work with you. That's kind of the main thing to me. I think leverage in all relationships is extremely important, especially in business. And when people are walking into the door knowing who you are, you have all the leverage in that relationship, right? So just a little bit of convincing on marketing. And finally too, you know, I use this hook in our marketing here at the Blueprint all the time. Like, you sell marketing service, you should probably be pretty good at marketing, right? I get why you don't. You're busy, you don't have the time, you're not good on camera, et cetera, et cetera. We're gonna talk about all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is that if you wanna win, this is what you gotta do. And this is what I'm recommending you do. You can cold email, you can cold call, you can do all that stuff. I'm not gonna tell you not to do that, but don't ask me how to generate leads anymore, because I'm gonna tell you here. So let's talk about the foundations of agency marketing, great agency marketing. So first and foremost, I'm talking about this again because it's that important. You can't market your business without a niche or a target audience. I mean, if we think about it this way, right? If you sell, you know, SEO and you want to follow this system, if you want to do outbound, right? If you want to create content for social media, if you want to run ads, who are you target? Business owners? It's too broad, you know? And then you're just getting drowned out. You're talking about SEO. And again, you're only going to attract other SEOs and marketers. If you want to start a program like the Blueprint and sell to agencies, talk about SEO. But if you want to sell direct to consumer, whether that's HVAC or whoever it is that you want to work with, you got to have the niche. You got to have the niche right. And the messaging is super, super important. I'm going to break down how to build messaging. I'm going to break down how to write ads, how to build content. Tomorrow, we're going to go through all that stuff. But, you know, even if you want to go and post on LinkedIn, if you want to run ads, Leah can tell you, Jan can tell you, basically where these algorithms are at is like, you don't have to put targeting in anymore. Your messaging just has to be speaking to those people. Your videos just have to be speaking to those people. And it's incredibly easy to do, but you got to break down that mental barrier of working with a single vertical. So another thing that I know you don't want to hear, you have to create content. I know you've heard that before. I know Gary Vee's been talking about this for 5+ years now. I know it's annoying. I know you know this. Content is the asset that allows you to do any sort of marketing. Even if you're doing sales, I mean, like, content, you need collateral, you need case studies, you need actual content, right? So content is the asset. I call it the glue a lot of times. No matter what type of marketing we're doing, if it's advertising, posting on LinkedIn, whatever it is, blog posting, you need content. So a lot of this strategy is going to be focused on how to create the right content. And like I said, it's different. I already covered this a little bit, but there's just a lot less ready to hire leads out there than there is in other verticals that you're probably working with your client. We do as search, like if you were to look at a marketing funnel, search sits at the bottom of the funnel. Why? Because people are going and being like, I need a lawyer, I want to buy black shoes, whatever that is. They're putting themselves in market. So we're used, as SEOs, we're used to kind of like bottom funnel, high intent marketing. And that's, I think, why marketing yourself and marketing your agency is so challenging for a lot of us, because we're so used to focusing on bottom funnel opportunities that we don't realize 99% of the content you should be creating is top funnel content. It's problem solving content for your target audience that really has nothing to do with what you do, but everything to do with them. And we're going to talk a lot about that. So, this is a lot simpler than you might think. I really break this down into two different portions here. One is creating content that resonates with your prospect. Like I said, content's the glue, content's the asset. You cannot do any of this without content. And then two is promoting that where your prospects hang out. It's really, really, really that simple. It could be LinkedIn, but LinkedIn might not work for everyone, right? If you're working with HVAC, are they hanging out on LinkedIn? Probably not, right? So we're probably not to identify a different platform. I post on LinkedIn for attorneys that much because I haven't found it to be too productive. My main stack is YouTube, it's a podcast, Facebook ads, and it's blog posting. And that stack is incredibly, incredibly effective. We don't reach 1 million people, but the people that we do reach, it's highly impactful. And when I have sales conversations with these attorneys, it's very refreshing to hear, since we really went all in, the amount of them that are actually consuming the content and then coming back and parroting what I'm saying to them, right? They're coming back and parroting literally the thesis that I have from the video and telling it back to me, and then basically having me pitch them on it. It's a very beautiful thing, and it works very well. And then the next thing here is time. And I put 2 times on here because it's that important. Like, patience is key. I go through this with my attorney clients all the time, but it's even probably more prevalent here. A lot of them just quit too soon. Like they hire a marketing agency and they give them 4 months, 6 months, and they're like, yeah, I didn't really see anything. I'm like, you quit too soon, man. Like this is not a silver bullet. Building a business is really hard, guys. And it's getting much, much harder. It's getting more competitive. Nothing happens overnight. But again, like, I encourage you to just trust the process, put one foot in front of the other, day after day after day, and keep your head down. And when you look up a year from now, you're going to be in a much different place, and the energy will be much different. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so first I'm going to break down content, then I'll break down the promotional channels, right? So it's 2 things, content and promotion. This will get a little bit more complicated. So I did my best to not overcomplicate this, especially because, again, you're going to have to kind of tailor this to who your target audience is. Lawyers hang out in a different place than e-commerce store owners or HVAC folks. So you're going to have to tailor a little bit of the strategy. Really speaking, content is pretty simple. I have it broken down into top funnel, mid funnel, and bottom funnel, right? We're all familiar with this. I intentionally exploded the top funnel because, like I said, it's 99% of the content that you should be creating. Your website is probably like the only bottom funnel content, like some service pages and like a contact us page or whatever that looks like. We'll break some of that down. But your entire focus should be on creating top funnel content. I'll give you examples of what that looks like, topics, everything. The main thing here is that it's problem solving content, right? Videos, blog posts, short videos, guides, whatever that looks like. I'm going to push you all to do video. Hard. I'm going to tell you to do video. You can do it. I don't care how bad you think you are on camera. I was once there myself. If you go to my YouTube channel and scroll back 14 years, you're going to see some pretty bad stuff. But just like anything in life and business, the more you do it, the better you get. And it takes time, it takes patience, and the ones that break through are the ones that are willing to keep doing it. So I'm going to push you to do video. Tomorrow, I think even going to like make you do some video here just to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit to push yourself. It'll probably be some of the best Facebook ads you ever make, in all fairness. But that's really what it is, problem solving content. My main focus is always on like a 12 to 14 minute video. All of you are literally probably sitting in these chairs because of one of those videos that I put out. We call it a VSL. I'm going to be giving that to you as a part of this process as well. But the beautiful thing about this is that once you get good at this, basically every video that I put out is now a VSL, right? So like every single video that I put on our YouTube channel can be used in an ad funnel. It can be used and turned into a blog post. It can be advertised directly to and generate leads directly off of it, because when you understand who you're talking to and you're actually offering advice and solving problems, and you're following a very easy to follow format, problem, agitation, solution, we're going to talk about that. You just got to focus on getting more people to watch it. It's really that simple. Like, the more people that see it, the more opportunities that you're going to have. And that's when things really start to open up, because you realize it's not that complicated, right? It's really just a matter of communicating your message to your target audience. So mid funnel too is like a VSL, because we just run a lot of targeted ad traffic to it. And then the bottom funnel is just your offer, right? Like, how are you going to take people from interested in marketing to booking a call with you? So you all know about our traffic projection analysis. We ran that for a very long time. Now our kind of offer is, we call it a law firm lead generation roadmap, where it's basically just the SEO analysis that we have. We do like a local analysis, and this is where my sales admin helps me out. He runs all this for us. And that's it, that's content. And then we just push that into promotion. Do we have any questions on this slide here? I'm gonna get much more in detail with this too again. Connor asked, what's the difference between our problem solving long video and a VSL? The main difference is a VSL at the level I'm at now is very specifically created for advertising funnel purposes, meaning we're running it to a landing page with an email opt-in, then they watch the video. All those videos are also on our YouTube channel though. So it's just at the level of content that you need to create. Technically, not everything is going to be at the same, like a VSL is like your right hook video. That's like, I'll go through some of the topics here, but like that VSL is really, this is how I solve my client's problem, right? So our VSL that we're currently running right now, Jan, if I'm not mistaken, is like a local SEO VSL, where I break down essentially a lot of things I talked to you about here for lawyers. I'm like, if I take your keyword right now and Google it, this is what I see. I see ads, I see LSAs, I see like traditional SEO all the way down to the bottom. And by the way, you're paying that agency 20 grand a month to do stuff that doesn't work anymore. Like I can charge you 5 grand a month to put you in the Maps pack, and I have data that shows you right here that 50% of leads come from the Maps pack. Let me show you how I do it on this quick video. And I walk them through our SEO process. And then I say, if you want to book a call for me to run an analysis, a roadmap of your law firm, there's a Calendly form right underneath it. You'll talk to me directly. And we just run Facebook traffic to it, and it books a lot of phone calls for us. Go ahead.
Okay, so the VSL is quite a bit longer and more.
No, I like a great VSL is like 8 to 12 minutes.
Okay.
And it, like some of the internet marketers out there that are doing a lot more than me are like can get them in like the 3 to 5 minute range. The more hyper specific your VSL is, if you try and tackle too much with it, it gets overwhelming for people.
And then the problem solving video, that's like solving one point solution.
Exactly. Here's how to get reviews. Here's how lawyers can get more reviews. Here's how lawyers can deal with bad reviews. Here's how to optimize your GBP. Here's how to deal with, negative, like all that stuff. Like it just breaks off into kind of like sub pillars. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And then are you not really pitching in that video as much as you would be in the VSL?
I always end up with a call to action to book a call. And that allows me to then run that as a VSL too. So, we've been running paid traffic for so long that we have such a good feel for it. And we don't run, now I like kind of know which one is kind of going to be like a right hook VSL. But like I said, technically if I had the money for it, I would advertise every video that we had. Because every single video that I put out, like I know, again, from talking to lawyers, and this is me shortcutting this for you, and you probably all know this, but like me shortcutting this for you is me telling you, and I talk to Jan about this all the time. I'm like, we need to get more people watching the videos. Like, I don't care about getting emails. I don't care about making offers. Like, I need people to see this, because the more people see this, it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touch points. All of a sudden, they're seeing me all over their feeds. They're like, I gotta talk to this asshole. Like, even just to get them off my feed, I gotta talk to them, And then they're showing up for the calls. And I ask them too, I'm like, how did you find us? They're like, I don't know, I saw an ad or I saw one of your videos. And we'll talk about this too, because what's happening with the internet now, it's not a funnel, it's an ecosystem, right? Like the way that the internet works right now is that there's no connection from cookies anymore. Cookies are kind of dying. But if they see a YouTube video of yours organically on their feed, they're done. They're gonna get them a Facebook ad from me. Then they're probably gonna see a TikTok from me if they go on. Then they might see an organic Instagram reel. Like everything's connected to our phones, right? So when somebody shows a certain level of interest, our phones know that they just start, all these platforms, they know, they start serving your content. And that's why this is so important too. I'm gonna teach you how to build this content and then distribute it across. I don't like to call it the Gary Vee model because he doesn't understand the context. He's just like, take a webinar and cut it up and put it everywhere. I'm like, no, it's boring, don't do that. But what remains true is that like, we need to get short video content on Instagram and TikTok for you. Like we need to get short copy on LinkedIn for you. We need to get 1 video per week for you on YouTube that's 8 minutes long, tackling a problem. You know what I mean? We need to get a blog post live for you. All these different things, because in this space, what's beautiful about this, it's not a volume game. Like e-commerce, you need a ton of volume to make money, like millions of visits a month to make money. In this, when you're selling something that's 5, 10, 15 grand a month, I don't need 50 sales calls. I need like 8 to 10 really good ones, and I'll close half of them. And my business is growing exponentially because of that, So it's not a volume game in terms of like, I don't need 1 million people to see this video, but 50, 100, 200 people seeing a video, standard conversion rate's like 3%. The more of those videos that you have out there, the more opportunity at bats that you're going to get. And that also compounds for you on a sales point. When I talk about leverage, right? Like, I don't get on all these sales calls. I see it booked, I review their website, and I send them an email. I'm like, no, like, it's not happening. Like, we're not interested in working with you, you know? Not like that per se. 10 more minutes? Okay. Okay. So let's get into the promotion side of it. So how many people are familiar with the owned, earned, paid marketing framework? I feel like this is the type of stuff they teach in college. If you've ever gone to marketing in college, I didn't learn marketing in college, by the way. I was a I think I had a political science major. I learned this on the good old YouTube. So owned, earned, paid is essentially just a way to classify the different promotion techniques. So owned channels would be things that you own, like website, social media channels, email lists, right? Things that you own the direct communication for that you can push out communication at any time. The goal is always to grow those own channels, grow your social followers, grow your email list, grow your website visits, etc. But that takes time. Channels is going to be SEO. SEO and PR and like social mentions, right, are going to be like earned channels. That's, again, visibility that you're earning. And then paid, pretty straightforward, you know, Facebook ads, PPC ads, any sort of paid traffic that you're going to run. Now, when I do consulting, right, I actually have a third business where I do fractional CMO consulting. I literally just use this framework. This is how I determine the marketing mix, and I just use this owned, earned, paid framework. So again, when you're thinking about either maybe expanding on your SEO offer, this is a very, very simple framework that applies to every single business that will help you determine what the proper marketing channel should be when you're building marketing campaigns. So I've done this for you for agencies, right? So let's talk about the owned channels. One is going to be social, right? Again, you don't have to be on every single social media platform. It really just depends where your target client is hanging out. I post on LinkedIn. I post on LinkedIn actually more for blueprint stuff. I've got a pretty good following in there, mostly agents. If you're selling to marketers, like LinkedIn is the place to be because it's pretty much all marketers. So, you know, just understand where your audience is. If I were going to tell you, I would say probably Instagram is like it's like always a safe bet that like pretty much everyone is on Instagram and checking it quite frequently. Instagram and Facebook, I kind of bulk them in the same way. Because if you post on one, you're posting on the other pretty much. This is also pretty good if you're selling, like depending on who you're selling to, but you don't have to overdo social media. The good thing about this strategy is that it's kind of a catch-all strategy, right? Like if you're creating short video content, then you've got YouTube Shorts, you've got TikTok, you've got Instagram Reels, and you've got Facebook, and even kind of LinkedIn all taken care of with that one asset. You just need different levels of copy depending on where you're posting. LinkedIn requires a little bit more long form copy, YouTube Shorts, TikTok's just a video. It's great. So that's social. Again, the focus is don't get lost in the channel. If it's like, again, should I be on TikTok? I'm going to teach you how to create the content that will allow you to post on all these channels. You can either post on all of them just to do it, or you can determine the ones based on where your audience is hanging out. One's email. You know, I have mixed feelings about email because as an old school internet marketer who's been doing this for a very long time, you know, I was brought up on the T that the money's in the list. Have you guys heard that before? Do it till you get a letter. Anyone heard that one before too? No? Okay. You know, back in the day, the goal was to build, like literally the goal was build an email list and then sell stuff to your email list, right? Affiliate offers, products, whatever that was. We all know that email deliverability rates have gone down significantly, but it still remains a channel that people check multiple times per day, right? Getting into their inbox can be more and more challenging, but growing an email list of your target audience is never a bad idea. And I'll tell you again, like I said, we have a 50,000 person email list here at the Blueprints All Agencies. It doesn't really make any money for us. You know, like we send out emails and like we get a couple of, it's like very underwhelming how much money we make off our email list. But at Webris, we have 1,700, I checked today, 1,700 lawyers on our email list, probably like 1,500 because there's a bunch of marketers that jump on there too. I got 2 emails this past week from people that were on our email list from sending out and promoting content that wanted to book a call. So when it's hyper targeted, it can work. It's just not nearly as much of a focus as it used to be. I got you. But it's still, it's easy to build because it's one of those things you can kind of build in the background. It doesn't have to be an active thing. It's more of a passive thing of building an email list, especially if you're running a VSL and you're running paid traffic on Facebook. It kind of just grows on autopilot for us because if you want to watch our VSL video, you have to put your email, and then we have you on an email sequence, and then I have you on a newsletter where I'm just promoting content to you in the future. It just kind of grows on its own. Earned search. Glad I didn't do this a couple months ago because I basically ripped down all the content off our website and have been building it back from the ground up because I was kind of down on SEO for generating leads here because of the fact that, like I said, we've ranked for Miami SEO, we've ranked for a bunch of like agency terms and it didn't really produce fruit. But then I realized when you publish the right type of content, like long form blog content, it's actually pretty effective at generating leads. And again, what this system is great with is because when I run you through like the full life cycle, I don't write anymore. I have a writer that does it at a very reasonable cost. They're just creating off the video that I do. So basically the system that I'm gonna give you is like, you create one thing. You focus on creating one topic, you create one video, and then the magic of contractors and people help you to create that for multiple platforms and push it out. In creating blog content for the website. And then, like Press mentioned, basically link building. I've gotten back into link building over the last 3 months, and I'm so I'm so shocked at how well it's worked. Like, our website traffic has spiked. We have a very authoritative domain, but like I said, I literally went through and ripped down all the SEO content, and I've rebuilt it from scratch for all legal content. So, legal SEO, legal marketing stuff. We've been building some links, probably like $500 a month, just buying links, and it's from really, really high quality websites. I'll walk you through that. And the rankings have shot up. I'm like eating my own stuff. So again, it's always good to catch me at later time. And then finally, meta ads, right? Paid, you can do PPC ads if you really, really want to. But again, like I know Chris Dreyer at Rankings runs a lot of PPC ads, but he's got a 5-person sales team that's chasing these people down, calling them up. The beautiful thing about meta is that it allows you to attack people at the top of the funnel and at the problem level, right? What that means is that I'm getting to these lawyers before they've made a decision to go to Google and search for other agencies, which means they're not talking to other agencies. They're talking to me, right? So with the content that I'm going to teach you how to create, this becomes a very seamless framework of just, like a lot of people ask me how I create content for my YouTube channel, Weber's YouTube channel, Blueprint YouTube channel. And I'm like, it's easy. I'm on Zoom calls all day anyways, right? Like, I might as well record these and turn these into content in some way, shape, or form. So this doesn't really take much more time aside from the content planning purposes than I already do. I go to a studio now and film some content too, but you don't have to. So essentially you can kind of see now how content is a glue between all this. You take one content topic idea, one video, and then I'm gonna show you how we can distribute that into all these different platforms. And you might be intimidated by Facebook ads. You might say, I don't have the money for it, I don't have the budget for it. You don't have to spend that much, man. You really don't. Again, go back to this concept of, you have something to say to your target audience. They need to see you as an authority, right? You create the content. We're just using Facebook to get that. We're using it to cut the line. We're using it to bump it up on the feeds, right? You're posting it organically anyway. Wouldn't you be willing to pay a little bit more for your target audience to see it? $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. We don't spend that much. I think, what do we spend? Like $10,000 a month on Facebook ads? Like for Weber's, it's less than that. Like it's not a lot. And it generates tens of thousands in revenue for us every single month. And I don't look at it, and I'm gonna encourage you not to too. Like, I'm gonna encourage you not to look at it like a direct ROAS. Like, hey, I spent $5,000. I need to make $10,000 or I'm not profitable. Because again, it's an ecosystem, right? The advertising of getting your name, your face, your messaging out there is building equity in your business, right? It's building you into an authority over time that, again, it just allows you to cut the line. So I know a lot of you might not feel like you have the money or the budget to do it, and that's fine, but I'm gonna encourage you, and I'm gonna talk to all of you about how we can carve some money out of your agency and how much you should be spending on this, because doing this all, we're gonna break now, but it's gonna cost money, right? Like, I'm not gonna let you do this yourself. You don't have the time to edit video, you don't have the time to write all this stuff, you don't have the time to set up Facebook ads, maybe you do, but I'm gonna help you guys understand from where you are in terms of what your revenue is and what you can and should spend on this stuff. If you can carve out a couple $1,000s a month, like, you can build a very effective marketing program. Very, very, very effective marketing program. Like I said, we're not spending that much. I mean, 10,000 might seem like a lot, but for what we're doing in revenue, it's really not a lot at all. And it's because, again, it compounds over time, right? Like, people don't take action the first time they see your ad. You got to get in front of them again, with different messaging, with different creative, with different video. And how do you do that? From the system that I'm going to teach you. So it's a good time for a break. Process flow person. So this is a process diagram. Somebody hacked my Miro account, so I couldn't build it in Miro, so I had to build it in Slides. So it's not the sexiest thing, but it should get the job done here. So part one of this process is content ideation. This and filming the content are the two most important parts of this, right? And when it comes to like what I do in this process, this is what I do, right? I come up with the topic ideas. On the next couple slides, I'm going to show you exactly what I recommend in terms of how you can build content, how you can ideate it. But this is where a lot of your responsibility is going to lie, right? So when we talk about, bringing in editors to help out, or writers, and kind of getting a lot of stuff off your plate, if you try and do everything in here, it's beyond a full-time job. It's not gonna happen. But this is where your attention and focus needs to be, because the content topics are incredibly important. I was just telling over here, I like to take like a top-down approach. meaning I'll start at the very, very top. What's the biggest problem that my client needs to solve? For me, lawyers, it's quality lead generation. If you work with lawyers before, you know what I mean, because it's not really hard to drive phone calls, but to drive qualified phone calls, it's really hard. So the first video that I created for lawyers was, it was a chart that said every single different lead generation tactic available to law firms. And then I went through and I ranked and reviewed them. And of course, the best one was what? Search marketing, right? That was my first video that I did. That tackled the main macro problem. That gave me a really good asset that I could run as a VSL, run on YouTube. We have a blog post that now ranks for lawyer lead generation too. So it ranks in Google for that. But I started there. And then within that, you can then break that down into a million different subpillars. Each one of those subtopics has its own universe. I'm going to talk about how to do this, but within that, there's SEO, there's local SEO, there's LSAs, there's PPC, there's blogging, there's link building, there's billboards, there's radio spots, there's social media marketing. And then each one of those breaks down into its own universe, right? So there's so many different, you should really never run out of topics. And if you do, then you can just start over again, right? Because by the time you get through everything, it's probably going to be a year or two. Go back. It's literally what we're doing here at the Blueprint. If you haven't noticed, a lot of the material that we've done has already been taught here before. And that's because this content decays. As soon as I publish this, it's decaying, it's changing, right? So we decided, instead of constantly trying to come up with new topics and shove, shiny objects down your throat, we said, we're going to stick to the foundations of what it takes to run an agency here: positioning, offer design, service delivery, lead generation, sales. In every single year, we're going to make sure that that content is up to date, right? So it gives us kind of a set amount of stuff and allows us to focus on the biggest pillars here. So that's another way that you can do it too. But I like, again, with agency stuff, I could never hit a limit here in terms of what I talked about. So next up is content creation. So this is an important note here. Batch filming. Is everyone here familiar with batch filming? What that means? Essentially what that means is that, I need you to do 4 videos per month. That doesn't mean you have to do 1 per week to sit down and do it. What you should do is you should block off 4 to 6 hours on your calendar on a random Tuesday, and you should film all those videos right then and there, right? One, it's going to make it much easier on you. Like when you're in a state of deep work on a singular topic, it's much easier to blast through it. I used to do it the other way around, where I would try and do a video per week. And when you got a million things going on, you got a business, you got family, you got employees, it can be really hard to make that time, right? So I strongly suggest blocking off a part of your calendar and just knocking them all out. We're going to talk about the different types of videos that you can create too, because it doesn't just have to be you talking to a camera, right? You can bring in a co-host, you can interview somebody, you can do live events and webinars. That's what I do here at the Blueprint. I found that it's been really hard for me to sit down and do talking head camera videos at Blueprint. So instead, what do? I do live events, because those live webinars, those live events, they force me to a given time and a date to put that into my calendar and make sure that I have it done. And that's become a scalable content creation method for us. So there's a bunch of different things that you can do. Marco, go ahead. So Marco's question was, before I got into the legal space, how did I learn what a lawyer's pain points were? It starts with a macro problem. So inside of the Blueprint training, I think some of my favorite training I've ever done is the offer design training. And in that training, I talk about diagnosing pain points and literally building your entire business around that. It's very simple. Every single person here, we're all solving the same problem. It's customer acquisition, right? Whether that's for e-commerce or lawyers or doctors or dentists or whatever that is, right? We're trying to drive new customers. So that's the macro problem that we start with. Now that gets contextualized to lawyers. Like I said, they don't necessarily care about leads. What I've learned, they care about qualified leads. They don't just want their phone to ring 1,000 times. They want it to ring 10 times with people that are qualified, right? That comes with a little bit of testing, a little bit of learning, a little bit of negative YouTube comments when you put it out there, a lot of sales conversations with attorneys, but also something happens just in life as human beings. When you start going, things start to open up for you, right? When you decide to run a business and quit your job, your business starts to grow a lot faster, right? Because it has the full power of your human brain after it. So when you go down this process of creating content, what's going to happen is you're going to start following people on TikTok and Instagram, right? Creators in that space. You're going to start looking at videos. You're going to start reading books. All of my competitors write books, and I'm like, thank you guys for giving me all of your insights and strategies, because I read them. I listen to them. You know what I mean? I download all that information. So the information's out there. You just gotta bring it in. You know what I mean? And the more that you do it, you learn so much from it too, right? So just the process of researching the content is going to help you to learn and grow a lot from it. But it just starts with that macro problem of customer acquisition, right? And understanding what the best way to acquire customers for is them. And then you're off and running. Like I said, for us with lead generation, with lawyers, purposely chose lawyers because I knew search marketing was a great way. It's the best way for lawyers to get clients. It still is, even though it's very competitive, it's very expensive. There's nothing more powerful than for a personal injury attorney to rank first in Google or have the first ad. It's just they print money. So knowing that though, like again, there's a whole universe of topics inside of customer acquisition through search that they're interested in, that they're looking for, that they care about, right? Like paid search ads, paid search in itself, a whole universe. There's landing pages, there's targeting, there's A/B testing, there's why your agency sucks, there's why your economics aren't working, there's CRM integrations. That's 5 topics right there just on PPC, right? And then you start again going down SEO, and then you just start learning about the stuff and then going down that path. This is how I realized like we need to integrate CRM kind of coaching, consulting, and implementations into our service, because as I went down this path, I'm like, yo, these dudes were sending leads to their emails, and like these guys are paying me 10 grand a month and don't answer my emails. So like we're sending these leads to their email. I know they're not tracking it. Like I need to help them with that, you know? So like CRM is a whole new thing that now we can explore. Intake services with them is a whole new thing. So like home services is another one. Like, one second. Home service is another one. Their biggest problem in home services, I went through the renovation process of my home. This guy's phone was ringing nonstop when he was in my house with people that were like interested in it. His biggest problem was not lead generation. It was managing leads. It was project management. It was customer service. Like if you've ever done any sort of renovation on your home, it's a nightmare. None of them have any sort of customer service skills. None of them have any sort of organization. So like, that's what you should be thinking about, right? When we talk about like differentiating yourself in these markets, like when you talk about being an expert and being an authority, when you're walking into a pitch and everyone else is like, let me show you these keywords in the rankings. And you're like, no. Like before we talk about that, like show me how you're managing your leads. Show me your project management system. Like when you start having that conversation with them, they're like, okay, this is different. This is different. And now like we have a tripwire offer at our agency now where we're doing an analytics dashboard setup for free. It's an agency analytics. It's super easy. But like when we go through that and we set up conversions in their GA, I have a contractor, $15 an hour. It takes them 3 hours. That's $45 out of my pocket to set up conversions, set up what converts, set up tag manager, pipe it all into one report and one dashboard. We do that for free. Because then once I have that, I'm like, now we know where your leads are coming from. Now we know what you're paying per lead. Now let's talk about what we can do for lead generation. It's just a whole different energy, right? So like that all started from content creation, and that started from going down this path. So start macro and go deeper. Yes.
Are you or your team using ChatGPT to generate content topic ideas? Like,
Yeah. I just had this conversation up here. I wish I recorded. So no to coming up with topic ideas, yes to researching them. I find ChatGPT very effective for helping me learn things that I don't know, expanding on things very quickly, and also like content writing in a pinch for the most part. I mean, you could if you really didn't know any better. Like ChatGPT is getting better and better, but I find I'm going to get through all this stuff in here about like finding topics and stuff like that. I find it best like from social feeds, like videos that I see on YouTube or TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that. And again, the more you go down this path, like the hardest part is getting started, because you're kind of like, well, shit, where do I begin? Like, I don't know anything about garage door repair. Like there's nobody talking about that on the internet. So the hardest part is getting started. But like I said, once you tell your phone what you're interested in, you're going to start seeing a lot of it on your feeds. It's pretty nuts. Like my wife was telling me 2 weeks ago, we needed more Windex. And next thing you know, I'm getting Instagram story ads for Windex. You know what I mean? Like your phone's listening to you. So the more information that you give your phone scarily enough, the more you're going to get fed this information from other people. Yes. All right. So next step up is going to be the content editing portion. So for us, and like I said, we have 2 editors. I think we pay like $200 per video, if I'm not mistaken, for a long form video. That's a little bit on the higher end. You can usually probably get it for like $50 to $100. So again, you do the math on that. If you're doing 4 videos a month, you're looking at anywhere from $400 to $800 for video editing. You get it for $600. So again, so the point is that, that's on the high end. Anything you see me paying is probably twice what you can find out in the market. Finally is the writing. So I have a content writer who takes the finished video, and we don't create all of our videos into blog posts. It only if there's search volume to match it, right? So a lot of the videos that you're going to end up creating are probably going to be a little bit more topical and clickbaity, if you will, than based on search keywords. But if there's search volume to support the topic, then we'll take that and turn that into a blog post. Again, It's very easy to do this for a writer when you're giving them a finished video and you're like, just write this, right? There's even some AI software out there that can get you started with it. It's not great, but we have a writer. She charges us $150. She writes for Ahrefs too. She's really, really good. And it's only $150 because we're giving her a video that's basically just like transcribe this into a blog post. So you can see here, the content creation process for us is, do the math, it's probably like $1,200 a month. And again, that's on the high end for the editing and the content creation portion of it. So just so you can start to understand some of the budget stuff here. Okay, so the output of this content, long videos, short videos, and then long audio. Long audio goes onto a podcast, right? So again, it's already done. All you have to do is export that as a MP3 file and just upload it to, we use Buzzsprout to creating a podcast is like the easiest thing in the world. And again, it's just free listeners. You know, again, our podcast doesn't get many listens, probably like 50 a month, but that's 50 new attorneys per month that are listening to our podcast and hearing our content, right? I think podcasts also just kind of cooled down a little bit. I don't know if anybody still listens to a lot of podcasts. There was a time during COVID where I think we're all jamming a lot of podcasts. It's cooled down a little bit. I personally am a YouTube junkie. Like I'm on YouTube more than anything, just listening to marketing stuff, sports stuff. It's YouTube for me is like, it's where we're moving, guys. Like the kids don't watch TV anymore. They watch YouTube, you know? So got the long videos for YouTube, got the short videos for social and YouTube, and then the long audio for podcasts, right? So again, one video is now turning into all these different assets here. The short copy is more for social. So that's really LinkedIn that we're talking about is the main one. LinkedIn copy is, you know, Josh, it's its own beast. I actually write my own LinkedIn copy. It's exhausting, but there's a bunch of copywriters out there that are pretty good. I had somebody who was doing it for me. She was like $400 a month for like 15 posts a month. So like pretty cheap, like you can get it done pretty cheap. I was a little bit of a pain, so I didn't end up using her. But also for me, like I said, for Webris, which is my main focus right now, there's not a ton of attorneys on LinkedIn. So my main focus is really YouTube and really the website too. And then Instagram and short content there as well. So that's the content creation process. Again, I'm hoping you start to feel now how all the onus isn't on your shoulders. Yes, you're probably gonna need to build a small team to help you out here. Yes, you're gonna have to put in some time and energy. Yes, you're gonna have to film some video. But there's ways around where you don't have to be, you know, a talking head like me on video. So when it comes to promotion now, so we take the long video, publish it on YouTube. Also the short videos on YouTube. YouTube Shorts is a very, very, very powerful short form content platform. Really pushing for a lot of market share in that. Not that it needs to, we just consume so much crap online anyway. Attentions are not at a premium here. Published on Instagram and Facebook. Again, I kind of like looped them into the same thing. Meta, Instagram, Facebook, Reels. Facebook Reels has really been picking up too. I don't know if you guys have been getting stuff down your throat too more on Facebook. They're all over the place now. But again, you publish on one, you're basically publishing on the other because you can automate that. Publish on the long audio on the podcast, the long article gets published on the website, and then short copy, there it is, on LinkedIn. Again, it gets a little bit confusing here. So any questions here? So essentially where we're at right now is we're not really into the promotion element of things. We're just creating it and just publishing it. Again, you can publish this yourself. You can schedule it. I have Dragana who does all of our stuff in the Blueprint and Webris too. She's like a project manager. I'm doing this at scale, so I require help, but you can do the publishing yourself. Yes, go ahead.
Are you particular one way or another of having the captions exactly perfect, or if there's some errors if using like some type of automation to generate captions, or do you intentionally want to have bad captions to try and get people's attention? Yeah,
I've got some deep insight here. So one of my wife's best friends works at TikTok. And what she told me is that when you use outside captioning platforms, like we use Capwing, which is like, I don't know, your run-of-the-mill upload a video, it puts the captions on top, it styles them like Alex Hormozy, whatever you want, right? We stopped doing that because those platforms don't like it. They want you to use their own captioning platform inside the platform. It's kind of a pain in the ass because it takes more time, but she showed me that you get significantly more reach on TikTok when you use TikTok's captioning stuff. I personally, you know, I've learned this. I've worked with Leah. She helped us out with a lot of our Facebook ads. She's really good with Facebook ads if anybody here needs help, by the way, especially on the content creative side of things. But what I have learned is that native content wins, meaning when you overstyle stuff, when you over edit stuff, when you put like those big like Hormozy captions on it, I see that on my feed now. I'm like, scroll past. Like, I don't need to hear this guy yap. Like, I know he's going to be talking about some bullshit that, you know, he's just doing this for content purposes. Like, the content that people pay attention to is the organic, the native stuff, right? So like, this is the baseline, right? just get started by using the videos that you have, creating shorts. It's a start. You're not going to go viral, but you're going to get some visibility. When you get to master level, that's when you start looking at it. You say, okay, the short content that I should be doing is probably me sitting in my car talking to my phone, because anybody that's seen anything go viral on TikTok, it's usually somebody ranting in their car on their phone, right? We just know as humans what we're being sold to versus what's natural and natural. Our Facebook ads just told me about it. He's seen one of our ads for Weber's where I'm sitting there typing on my computer with a caption on top of it. It seems stupid. Like, I feel stupid doing it, to be honest with you, but like, it works, because when you feed that to the platform versus when I feed it my high-res video in the studio, horizontal, it knows. People don't want to see that. They don't want to see you in a studio. They don't want to see you on high-res video because they know you're selling them something, right? You got to think native. You got to think natural. You got to think organic. So that was a very advanced, long way of answering your question. Don't overthink captions, right? Like, to be honest with you, like, I would use the platform to do the captions for you if possible. They're fine. And, you know, like I said, people, when you start to overdo the editing, people know. I know. Like I said, I see it on my feed. And I'm like, oh, God, get out of here. Like, I don't need to hear your opinion on this. You know, like, I use TikTok a lot. It's actually the only social network that I use for my own personal consumption. I don't use Instagram. It's garbage in my opinion, right? But TikTok, there's something about the content there that's very right now in terms of what the market wants. It's native, it's natural, it's filmed on your cell phone, it's not high-res stuff. That's what people want, because they know in this country, one thing for sure, you're gonna get sold on anywhere you turn here. This country's all about making money, and like, our feeds have turned into that. So the more natural, native that you can make your content feel, the better. Yes.
Are you using your own personal account for like Instagram and Facebook posts and reels, or using?
No, I have this weird thing, and maybe you all can relate to it. Like, I don't like to be on social media personally, and I've always struggled. I've worked with coaches before in the past over the years, and they're all like, get out of your own way, man. Like, why aren't you posting on Instagram every day? And I'm like, because I don't want my people from high school seeing me talking about SEO. Like, I don't like getting DMs about it. I don't like, even if they're supportive, I'm like, there's a very clear line between my personal life and my work life. So I've never, ever, ever, for a short period, I've used my personal Instagram and Facebook before it got deleted. Now anymore, I actually don't even have Instagram right now. I have it off my phone, and we have an agency account for Weber's, and we have a Blueprint account that Elena and Dragana manage, and then Dragana manages our Weber's account.
And you don't find that goes against the like natural that is posted from Weber's?
Yes and no. So that's a good question, and I know where you're going with this, because people get more traction. Like, me would get more traction faster than those accounts. But to me, if you're asking me personally, like, I care more about my own personal privacy than I do about getting an extra, you know. I just don't like it, man. It's just not for me. There's no shade to anybody that does it. I love people and respect people that do it, because I'm like, I wish I had that mentality, but that's just a barrier that I'm not comfortable breaking down. LinkedIn is different. LinkedIn is the one that has to be from you personally, but I also view LinkedIn as like a purely, like, I never have consumed a single piece of information off LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is, I don't know why LinkedIn is good for marketing, because it's all garbage. All garbage. I'm surprised the amount of engagement that I get, because I can't even look at my feed without my eyes bleeding, you know? But LinkedIn is the one where like you have to use your personal profile versus a company account. But on Instagram and TikTok, not the case that I've found so far. I don't think that there's a big difference in reach. Because you're also like, if you're creating, like, it's still my video, like, you still see me on the video. It's basically just the Instagram profile that's different. And sometimes the biggest thing for me is just keeping the two companies separate, because a lot of you are probably getting my Weber's content. And I don't want you to, not that I don't love you guys, but I want lawyers to see it. And it kind of muddies the water a little bit, because I'm sure when you see me, you're like, oh, there's Ryan, but it's my agency stuff, you know? So I'm actually working now. One of the reasons why I really want to do this event was so I can get other people from this company on camera so they can get on our social feed. So to start to kind of spread the brand a little bit more and not just have it be my personal face. So no, like, if you're like me and you don't want to mix your personal profile that has like your parents and your aunt and uncle on there, you know, use a company account. And I actually suggest you do it too for advertising purposes, because, you know, Jan has always used my personal Instagram, which is set up as a business account, for advertising, because he's like, yo, it works better. Like, for Blueprint, my personal Instagram account has the best. But I'm like, I'm willing to pay more, so I don't have that, because first of all, the amount of shade that I get there, it's just too much. I just like to keep like a very clean line. So that's my personal preference. And if you feel the same way, like, yeah, you'll probably get a faster traction from your personal profile, but I totally understand if you don't want to use that for business purposes, because I don't. I don't like to at all.
Thanks.
Yes.
Just to kind of follow up on that with LinkedIn. So I never read anything on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and obviously, what's one of your suggestions on what to use? Where do you see the value in LinkedIn in terms of creation? Is it that people check up on you when they're looking at you? Is it that it's generating awareness? Where do you see it being like the most valuable?
Yeah, it's a content distribution channel, right? So like the way that I treat LinkedIn is the topic that I come up with, I kind of treat it like a campaign. I used to work in a major advertising agency, right? And I also work with, on a consulting level, the biggest cannabis company in the country. And I've learned so much from how they treat their marketing and advertising. Everything's a campaign to them. So what I mean by that is like they treat their campaigns at the product level. Every single month they come out with a new strain of cannabis that they treat as its own marketing campaign, right? I've taken a lot of that and realized that for us and for me, our campaign should be at the topic level, right? That topic is its own little mini campaign that gets distributed to all these different platforms and ads. How much you put into that is just depending on how sticky that topic is, right? But LinkedIn is just another place that I'm pushing that topic. It's just in a different format. You see what I'm saying? So, one of the beautiful things about LinkedIn is that LinkedIn is a platform that you can create and you should create so much for and so much on. And it's just LinkedIn gets really, really good engagement. Like it's a place for business people. It's not a place for, personal stuff as much. It's a platform made for business professionals. So it's okay to sell on there. And I've had a lot of success on LinkedIn because the engagement rate is so high. Like I said, it's hard for me to understand it because I don't use LinkedIn to do that. But when I post like a screenshot from a data studio report and I'm like, hey, drop me a comment if you want it, we get like 2,000 comments. It's like mind-blowing, like mind-numbing. So it's a highly, highly engaged platform. Just depends on who you're trying to sell to. Again, if you're working with marketers, like LinkedIn is a spot. It's mainly marketers. If I put a lot more time and attention, I probably could get some success from lawyers. I know Chris Dreyer has pretty good success on there working with lawyers. He's been doing it for like 2 years. I also am on the firm belief that like, even though I'm distributing this across multiple platforms, there's only so much time and effort you can hyper focus on certain platforms with. And for me, it's always YouTube because I'm a video critic. Video is like my core thing. I know that's what I can do better than my competitors. I'm such a deep user of YouTube that I'm just a firm believer in the platform and where it's going, just in terms of how we use it and interact with it from just like a content point of view. It's very sticky. Instagram and TikTok are very fleeting, scrolling past very quickly. It doesn't really stick to them as well, but like YouTube, they watch it, like I said, like a 5 minutes of video, like they're probably gonna remember you for quite a bit. I'm literally living proof of that, that's the case. Was there another question? Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure I'm clear on your editing process. Are you editing, like your editors are cutting it up and then individually publishing with captions to each?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so let me finish the slide. So now we get into more of the promotion, right? So we're promoting to the email list. This is kind of up to you, right? Like, do you want to promote the YouTube video? Do you want to promote your podcast? Do you want to promote your blog post on the website? I personally like to promote the blog post because if you go to any of our content on the Weber's blog, you'll see that I have the podcast and the video embed on the page, right? So a really, really important thing with YouTube too, I've traditionally pushed people to YouTube because the thing about YouTube is that if you get somebody to watch one of your videos, especially like a minute or more, you're automatically going to be on their suggested feed the next time they log in. And that is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Like you don't really need subscribers as much anymore. It's more, they're important, don't get me wrong, because they get a notification when something goes live. But the powerful thing about YouTube is the YouTube suggested videos. The more that you get of people to watch, like YouTube is what SEO wishes it could be in terms of the algorithm and the ranking algorithm. It's a much purer, much fairer algorithm because it's purely based on engagement. Like if somebody's watching your video, they're engaging with it, they're going to get more of your stuff. So YouTube has a very, very good and quick snowball effect. When I forget who was talking about, you couldn't pull yourself out of Josh, I think it was you, right? Like YouTube is a great solution for that because it grows in perpetuity. Like you publish a video, you drive eyeballs to it using your email list. Growing a YouTube channel, honestly, a good email list is your best friend because you're pushing people to there. I've seen the people that I see grow a YouTube channel very quick have another following on another platform that they're constantly pushing people to. I see people with like good Instagram followings growing very quickly because they post a video, they tag it in their Instagram story, they promote it through their video, and those people are inherently interested in that creator, so they're getting sticky views to that video. And you'll look at it and you'll be like, yo, they only have 1,000 subscribers, but they're getting 5,000 views on a video. And that's because they have an outside traffic source that's pushing it, right? And it's building that kind of flywheel within YouTube. YouTube is the best platform on the planet for that. And then I promote with meta ads. So I'm basically just taking the content that's already on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and we're pushing ads to it, but we're pushing it to a landing page, right? We're not pushing Facebook ads to YouTube. We're pushing ads to a funnel, which I'm going to walk you guys through tomorrow. Yeah, question from the Zoom.
Question on Zoom, Ryan. What about on LinkedIn if you own more than one company, such as a digital agency and other companies that are not related? How do you focus your profile? Just one or all the companies?
It's a very good question. I struggle with that myself. Probably the biggest reason why I haven't had more success on LinkedIn because I go through this identity crisis every 6 months where like I focus on a different company. So the thing with LinkedIn, just like any social network, is you should be specialized. You should be focused on one. So just pick one, you know, and I would pick the one that has the bigger audience on LinkedIn. So that's why I've kind of gravitated more towards publishing marketing content on LinkedIn, because there's much more marketers which feed into the blueprint as opposed to law firms and lawyers. So I will publish some content on the LinkedIn Weber's profile, and we're testing some ads here and there. They haven't really wowed me too much. I was just end up back on Meta because of the cost and the engagement. Focus on one. People that you see having the most success are the ones that go all in. They make it their headline, they make it their sub-headline, they make it their banner, they make it all the content that they create is all focused. And the more that you feed that algorithm to, the more it's going to know who to deliver to. Yes.
Hey, Ryan, can you share a little bit about how many people in your team are actually putting all this together for you?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll focus on Weber's because that's the one-to-one comp for you guys. So again, I do the ideation, right? That's on me. I just keep a Notion pad. I'm going to give you guys a spreadsheet that you can work in, template. I like Notion because it's on my phone, and the way I come up with topics is I'm watching TV or I'm walking the dog and I'm like, oh damn, that just popped into my mind. Or I'm watching a video and I just recorded in Notion. So I basically just take a bunch of notes and then I'll just kind of flush out an outline. So I do all the content topic ideation. Again, I highly suggest you guys do that too. When you try and outsource that, I've tried this a million times. I've tried to hire YouTube consultants to come up with ideas for me. It doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. So the ideation should be on you. The content creation, again, you know, I guess you could use somebody else to create the content for you if you really wanted to, but I suggest you do it, you know, like you, the owner of the face. I actually saw somebody complaining on LinkedIn the other day that was talking about how like the new role of a CEO is like to be like a content creator. And they were talking about how much they hated it. And I was like, it's actually kind of an amazing time to be alive if you think about it. You can market your business and make millions from sitting at home in gym shorts. So, you know, I always suggest that you create the content as well. Somebody in the business has to create the content. Don't outsource it. It's just not going to end up well. If you're going to focus on blog content instead of video content, if you're going to not listen to what I say, yeah, you can hire a writer to do that. But again, I would still suggest the content creation is something that needs to be on. And I tell my law firm clients this too. I'm like, look, we're going to come in and write content for you, but like you should fire your social agency because content needs to be owned by the brand. It's like a core competency that every single business, no matter what they're in, should own themselves. You should never outsource that type of stuff. There's certain things that every business should own in-house. Content creation and ideation, you need to own that. Then editing and writing are the two things that I don't like to call outsource, but we hire out. So we subcontract the editing and the writing. Is about $150, $200 per video. Writing is $150 per article per page. So we do 4 months. So again, like I said, it's like $800 to $1,200 per month for us to get the content created. And then I have Dragana, who works here at the Blueprint, like my content project manager. She's the one that publishes everything. She helps me with like the copy and publishing across the channels and stuff like that. So she kind of manages that part-time for us. But again, like you can do that yourself. It's not really that hard or you can hire a social media manager for very cheap. Like you can get somebody for a couple $100 a month to manage and publish on your social channels. Because the hardest part is just getting them the content. Like people run into social media trouble when they hire a social media manager and they expect them to create the content. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to Fiverr and they're getting these graphics created. They look awful. But if everything that you're creating is some sort of video content that's coming from you, you're going to have much more success on social. So it's, again, the content creation portion, I would say budget like at a high end, like $1,000 a month for all the creation and editing. And that's on the high end, right? Like that's what I'm paying because, you know, I haven't really shopped it around too much and I'm comfortable with these people. And I'm also doing this for 2 companies, right? 3 companies if you include my channel. So I'm basically using Dragana to manage my personal stuff, the Blueprint, and Weber stuff. So that's why I need a project manager, because work doing this for 3 different companies, this exact same process, you know? But if it's just one company, then you can probably manage it yourself or with a, you know, low cost project or social media manager. So I would say budget like $1,000 a month for the creation editing. Now, I also go to a film studio once or twice a month that I rent out on an hourly basis. If you've seen some of like the more high res stuff that I do in the studio, but you don't have to do that. Like my best videos are the ones sitting in my office at home, you know? So the camera equipment for that is very cheap, you know, like $200 HD camera, $100 microphone. That's all you need. $300 to get a good content creation system started.
Heard this already. I apologize for repeating the question. So with the videos, the longer, the short ones, or even the audio, do you transcribe those and then use that text, like the, you know, onto like these long articles or short articles and then post those somewhere else?
Yeah, I'll talk about that problem. So the video, and this is kind of the beauty of it. I had another graphic that I should have put up here that shows kind of like how that video becomes everything. That one video becomes blog content. It becomes, so essentially what we're doing is I'm taking that one video, right? After it gets edited, Dragana then passes that to our content writer. So they, like the videos that you see on YouTube are the ones that the content writer is turning that into a blog post, right? So that's for like a long form 2,000 word article that goes on a blog post, right? Now, to get a little bit more nuanced with this, I do like 1 or 2 interviews per month with attorneys. And then also my partner, Caesar, we co-host a podcast, a video podcast together. And in that instance, we'll use an AI writer to summarize that video, because those are like hour long, right? So in that instant, I believe, Elena, can you ask Dragana what the name of that platform is? I think it's called Podcastle, Pod Squeeze. So that it's called Pod Squeeze, Pod Squeeze. She feeds it like the long video, like an hour long video. And then that does a really good job of transcribing that into like a bulleted blog post that's okay for podcast stuff, right? It's more of a summary as opposed to like a how-to article that a blog post is, right? So depending on the format of the video, if it's like more of like a how-to video, right? Like me teaching like how to set up local service ads, we'll have a human writer put that together into a blog post because there's a lot of SEO value to that, right? Now, if it's an interview with me and an attorney for an hour, we'll actually just use the AI to summarize that because it's free. And then we'll publish that as a blog post as well. And the goal there is actually to rank it for the attorney's name. Right. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow. We talk about like different formats of video because I like 2 things. One, I believe that if we have a bunch of blog posts on our website targeting attorneys' names, Google's then going to see our website as a topic and source of legal stuff. Right. 2 is that people are searching for those attorney names. There's search volume in that. And a lot of them are actually other attorneys. Kind of like most of the people searching for me are marketers. Right. There's search volume there. So we're getting that and trying to rank it for their name, which is very non-competitive, very easy. And we're getting some nice kind of like free boost from Google, if you will, for that. And it's also ego bait too. So like, we're going to talk more about this tomorrow, but I actually stole this from Chris Dry at rankings.io. He has a podcast called Personal Injury Mastermind, right? I think that's what it's called. He just interviews personal injury attorneys. He's got like 300 of them done. And we went out to lunch last year and I was talking about like acquisition and I was like, asking him how he